Howdy, it's Jim Morado. We're about to be going through Beaver Dam, Kentucky, and then we'll drive on to Hartford, Kentucky, just a couple of nice small towns that, I don't know, I find myself driving through those towns here and there on my way to somewhere else. I know I've been through both of them a lot, and I don't think I've ever really stopped to check either of them out for an extended period of time. They both have kind of nice looking downtown areas, but yeah, I just don't know a ton about them. Yeah, we're driving through on our way to Owensboro, and I thought I should check them out a little more thoroughly. And just to give you a little sense of where we're at, that sign right there on the right says we are 2 miles from Beaver Dam, 6 miles from Hartford, and I believe it said 30 miles from Owensboro. And yeah, a lot of places in western Kentucky, I kind of have you've got to want to get there thing going on. I know even with Owensboro, when I tell people that I'm from Owensboro, there are a lot of people I meet, even in the state of Kentucky, who have never been to Owensboro. I mean, like a lot of people. And it's, currently the 4th largest city in the state. And I just thought everybody had been to Owensboro. If you live in Kentucky, you'd venture down there at some point. But that is definitely not the case. And Owensboro, you don't really pass it on the way to anywhere else. Yeah, there's several little areas in especially western Kentucky like that it's just you've got to want to go there to get there. And just checking out Wikipedia, when it comes to Beaver Dam, they mention that the population as of 2010 was 3,409, and it's named for the Beaver Dam Baptist Church, which predates the town by several decades, which I think is fascinating. And not a whole lot else mentioned really about Beaver Dam, other than under notable people it mentions the Crabb family, a Southern Gospel family group, and it mentions Ray Chapman, the only Major League Baseball player ever killed in a game. And this is one of those, kind of weird connections that you take note of. Looking at his Wikipedia entry, he was born January 15th, 1891, and he died August 17th, 1920. He played his entire baseball career as a shortstop for the Cleveland Indians. And he was hit in the head by a pitch thrown by Yankee pitcher Carl Mays and died 12 hours later. His death led baseball to establish a rule requiring umpires to replace the ball whenever it becomes dirty. Chapman's death and sanitary concerns also led to the ban on spitballs after the 1920 season. His death was one of the examples cited to justify the wearing of batting helmets. However, it took 30 years to adopt that rule. Some interesting stuff there, and he is buried... Where's he at? Yeah, he's buried at Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. And just for the record, I just about lived walking distance from that cemetery for many years, and I never visited his grave. I'll have to change that next time that I find myself up north. You'll have to forgive the windshield wipers there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I do love baseball, and that's just an interesting little note there. Kind of sad that he's not buried in Kentucky, but I guess Cleveland's an appropriate place too. I love Kentucky, it's my home state, and I had a love-hate relationship with Cleveland while I lived there, but yeah. Anyway, we're driving through Beaver Dam now, again the home of the only Major League Baseball player killed in a game. Just a friendly little area. There's the post office on the right. I've been in that post office. They're sweet little people. I'm a big fan of post offices. And I have went in there to collect a hand-canceled postmark. I know Beaver Dam has a fairly new concert venue, and they've got some fairly big names to come through there. And I think I remember back in 2018 they pulled in John Prine, and that would have been a great show to go to. I did get to catch John Prine a couple of times while he was still alive, once in Cleveland, and I got to go to one of the Everly Brothers homecoming shows. Man, back in the very early 90s, I remember the Everly Brothers, the Kentucky Headhunters, John Prine. It was a really great show. And I've always loved John Prine. He's, yeah, you can't say enough good about him. That last album he put out was just as good as anything he'd ever done. And we're going through downtown Beaver Dam, which is just really pretty. I probably need to take a moment to actually walk around some of these little shops and buildings one of these days. But yeah, that is just an attractive downtown area. And I wanted to mention I did pass a few historic markers. I've actually picked up a book, Roadside History, a guide to Kentucky highway markers, by Diane Wells, compiler, and then edited by Melba Porter Hay and Thomas H. Appleton Jr. If you care about Kentucky history, this is a great book to get, because I can't tell you how many times I'm somewhere and maybe we're in a hurry and I pass a historic marker and I'm wondering what it says. Well, I can reference this book and figure out what that marker says. Yeah, so I actually just picked out a few little markers I wanted to mention while we're going through this part of Kentucky. And one in particular for Beaver Dam mentions, well, it gives a little bit of the name background. Named for an unusually large dam made by beavers across a nearby stream. First settlers came in 1798 and founded the First Baptist Church here, in year Ohio County formed. Town incorporated 1873. In early times, area was covered by canebrakes and inhabited by bear, deer, and buffalo. Pioneers en route to Ohio River followed buffalo trace from area as early as 1797. Kind of exciting thinking about bear and buffalo being common out in this area too. Of course, deer are all over the place, but it's yeah, it would be nice if we still had some of those other creatures as common as they used to be. But yeah, that's yeah, we're driving through Beaver Dam, going up towards Hartford. And actually, as I read, as I was flipping through the Roadside book I mentioned a moment ago, I realized that in Ohio County there was a little bit of Civil War activity back during the Civil War, which I found fascinating, as I always do. And there is a marker at the Hartford Courthouse lawn that mentions General Harlan B. Lyon with 800 men invaded Kentucky December 1864 to enforce CSA draft law and divert USA from Nashville. In 23 days, he burned 7 courthouses used by Union forces. At Hartford, garrison captured by Lyon, December 20th, later paroled, and courthouse burned. Records and other building saved on plea by Samuel O. Payton, local doctor. I just thought that was, that's pretty interesting. I thought that's definitely something that got my attention. And another marker mentions the first public building. Ohio County's first jail and courthouse, a combined 2-story log structure built 1799 to 1800. The second-story courtroom was of well-hewed logs, with a raised bench for the court, a bar for the attorneys, with banisters and rails. This building collapsed in 1813. The material salvaged was burned to celebrate the victory of Commodore Perry on Lake Erie. That one's at the Hartford Courthouse lawn in Hartford. So I just thought that was kind of something kind of interesting to note. And we are actually getting on up to Hartford now. I think there's a welcome sign here shortly. Lots of little shops through here, little strip malls and things like that. I remember stopping at the, I want to say, was it the Walmart in town? We would sometimes go this road back and forth when I was going to college at Berea. And just a nice place to stop. Yeah, there's a little welcome to Hartford sign. And Hartford is somewhat famous for their sorehead, for their little mention of soreheads. Welcome to Hartford, home of 2,000 happy people and a few soreheads. So that's, yeah, that's Hartford for you. Just a couple of other historic markers I wanted to mention because I thought they were fascinating. At 415 Mulberry Street in Hartford, there is the Man of Courage marker. William Smithers took part in American Revolution and War of 1812, helped erect fort here and at Vienna, later Calhoun, in early 1780s. He was the subject of a sketch by Washington Irving, 1797. Smithers served on first grand jury of quarter sessions at Hartford, 1803. Joined Stephen F. Austin in Texas, 1821, as one of Old 300. One more historic marker I wanted to mention, John C. Thomas House, also Hartford, 415 Mulberry Street. This house, erected in 1880 on land originally donated to the town by pioneer Gabriel Madison in 1799, now owned by Ohio County Historical Society. The home is its museum. It was the former home of John C. Thomas, early Hartford merchant. With two brothers, he operated Thomas Brothers Hardware and Saddlery on Main Street and Union Street. That structure is also still standing. I wanted to mention we just passed the Hartford Post Office a moment ago also. And another thing I wanted to mention, I thought the sky looked great today. As you could tell, it was raining a little bit earlier, but everything ended up okay. Oh, and one more historic marker also at 415 Mulberry Street. Reverend William Downs. This orator, debater, and minister was also a teacher, Bible scholar, and hymn composer. He preached near the Lincoln home on Knob Creek and baptized Abraham's father, Thomas Lincoln. William Downs was born 1782 in Old Fort at site of Hartford. Father killed by Indians. William's brother Thomas also became pioneer Baptist preacher. William died 1860 near Hartford. Those are just some great little bits of information. And, you get that great Lincoln connection. I love Lincoln connections. And we're going through the little downtown Hartford area. I love this little area. I think it's really, really pretty. I want to say several years ago, maybe even a decade or so ago, it's hard to remember when certain things happen. I remember driving through Hartford and Beaver Dam, and with a couple of buddies, and when we were kids, we loved pro wrestling, and there was a sign up that the late Brian Christopher, was going to be wrestling at some event, and we briefly thought, hey, that would be kind of cool to go to. And this was when, if you're any sort of a wrestling fan, Brian Christopher was a bit of a name at one point, and we lost him probably a couple years ago now, and it just would have been nice to have gone and seen him. It would have been kind of a novel thing, especially at a smaller venue in an area like this. But yeah, so anyway, just some random thoughts there about Hartford and Beaver Dam, and some historic stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. Go check those cities out.